Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the March edition of Tech Tuesday. I'm Ed Lozano, a Western uh, sales engineer here at LiveU, and I've got my colleague Luis Munoz joining us as well. Luis, you got me there?
Guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep, got you there.
All right.
Got you there. Well, awesome. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about Matrix, LiveU Matrix. This may be a tool that you use every day in your workflows. Maybe you're getting affiliate feeds. Maybe you're getting feeds from other sources within your media groups. Or maybe you're just sharing content between yourself and other stations. And we'll talk a little bit about Dynamic Share, which is another great product that you may use in your day-to-day workflow. And if not, we're going to show you a little bit about how that can actually help you. As always, please raise your hand or ask in the Q&A section there any questions. We want this to be as interactive as possible. And if you want to ask verbally, we can unmute you because this is meant to be a informative and collaborative demonstration and continuing education, if you will. A little bit about LiveU Matrix. LiveU Matrix is our fully managed cloud-based distribution solution, meaning that everything works between the cloud and your MMH servers and your field units accordingly. So, for example, maybe you've got a field unit that's coming into your LiveU Central or into your MMH server that you're receiving. You have the option within the system to share that unit into Matrix to get it out to a wider base. So think of Matrix as your point to multi-point distribution. And also, as we said, we're going to talk about dynamic share. That too is another point-to-point or multi-point distribution. A little bit about Matrix. It's really a really great UI. It's very user-friendly. There's a couple of point and clicks, if you will. You can also drag and drop content. You're able to watch it and actually preview images or feeds that are coming in within the GUI there. So, like I said, very easy. You can drag and drop stuff accordingly. But let's get over to the share. Let's take a look at the demo here of the LiveU Matrix. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop here. And once you get into LiveU Matrix, and you can access it from the tray, those are the 9 dots from LiveU Central. You open up the tray, you'll have a list of options depending on what your station or affiliate has within their inventory. You'll go down to Matrix and you'll log right into the Matrix UI. So for example, I'm using my colleague Luis's login here. He's got ABC News 1 coming in here on the far left. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit so we can take a look here. And bear with me here. Here it goes. He's got ABC News 1 here. He's got some CBS News path feeds coming in, as well as I believe there's some CNN stuff in here. So, for example, if you wanted to use this feed, maybe you're getting something from News Source or CBS News Path, the best way to do it is just grab the feed. To do that, let's say that we want to look at this feed from KCBS, for example. I would come right here, and this is the grab icon where I'm highlighting right here. I can click on that, and it's going to open up a dialog box, which will then ask me, hey, where do you want this to go? So you can distribute this a couple of different ways here. We can come in here. Let's go ahead and zoom in here on this. And we can basically select a channel where it goes to. And that's pretty much everything within LiveU Matrix. You can select the destinations where you want it to go. I can come here. I can say, for example, Luis has got one of my servers in there. He's got his transceivers in there. We can select those as destinations. And then you can go in there and say, okay, I want this for a predetermined amount of time. I want this until I manually eject it. So you've got a couple options, you've got a couple options as it relates to that. So we can click on this. We'll send it to his transceiver 1 output. And then we can come down here and hit OK. That will then start up the instance going from the Matrix feed to his MMH server and will be there for a baseband video out. Very easy, very simple to use. A couple of different things within LiveU Matrix. We basically put stuff into columns. So for example, the affiliate distribution feeds, your CNN and news sources all in the first column, sorry. The second column is our feeds column. So these may be some ad hoc feeds. Maybe it's a distribution share that's coming into you. Maybe it's something within your group or a closed group. Those feeds would appear here. Luis has got a couple feeds coming in here. And then the third column is your local receivers. These are your local MMH receives or receives that you have maybe within your group. So for example, Luis has access to a couple of ones that are outside of his office, but he's also got access to mine as well. The next column we have are pool channels. And pool channels are one to many distributions. So for example, we've got the distribution channels and we've got pool channels and dynamic share, different ways to transmit into Matrix. The pool channels, let's say that you have a court case and 1 week it's one affiliate's time to be the pool camera there. They can take their unit, and if they're part of that pool group, they can route the signal right into the pool group so all the others within the pool can get it. Let's say that it's one affiliate's turn 1 week, the next affiliate comes up next week, it's their turn, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody can grab those feeds out of there. Just like we demonstrated a few minutes ago, we can go in there and we can click on the icon and grab that to our MMH server, or simply just drag it over to our local receive. The next option, or the next way to distribute feeds, are through distribution feeds. And distribution feeds, think of that as, let's say your state's governor's office has a feed that they do regularly. They're the only ones that are allowed to transmit to the distribution feed. So instead of like a pool feed where many others can join in and feed, when it's their turn to feed, the distribution feed or channel is set up where there's one specific encoder or one specific group that's allowed to transmit into that and then broadcast out to the multi-point or to the many destinations or takers. Like I said, at any time, please raise your hand. I want this, Luis and I want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions about the workflow or how it may relate to you and your organization, please ask. That's what we're here for. The next thing I wanted to highlight is another way of getting feeds in our Matrix platform, and that's dynamic share. And dynamic share is a great tool to use. And I'll give you an example of how this would be great to use for your organization. Let's say that you're an affiliate, and let's say that you're an ABC affiliate, and you want to get a feed from maybe your competitor across town, and they are not in your inventory, they're not in your group, but and maybe you don't have a pool in your network or in your market. You can do what's called dynamic share. And what we have here is, I'll come over here. We'll come to the icon on the far left. This is the dynamic share icon. And basically what I'll do here is click on this. So I'm logged in as my colleague, Luis, right now. And think of dynamic share as a push-pull type way of moving content, or a request or send type thing. So I can go and request a feed from an individual or an affiliate, or I can push a feed to them. So for example, in this demonstration, we're going to come in here and let's go ahead and zoom in here. And I'm going to request a feed. Once again, I'm logged in as Luis. I'll come up here to the upper right-hand corner and I will click on request a feed. What it's going to do is open up what we call the global directory. And the global directory are affiliate groups or stations or individuals that have opted in to say, hey, yes, I want to be able to share my encoders or my content within the global directory if there's a request made. So for example, I'll come up here to the top here and do a search. And I'm going to search for myself. I'm going to send a request to myself here. And I'm going to say, okay, Ed Lozano, I need to grab a feed from you. And I'm going to come in here, and if I need to send email addresses for contact information or to alert, I can do that. Once again, I can have this feed there until it's manually ejected, or I can customize a time for this to be ejected as well. What I'm going to do is then come down here to the bottom and I'll hit OK. What's happening now is there's a request that's going over to myself, and let let me get a feed going here so we can actually share this. So I'm now going to get notified on my end if I had the email system set up. But what I'll do is let me come back over here and let's log in as myself here. And on the left-hand side where the dynamic share icon is, we're going to have a notification now that there is a request been made for a feed. So right over here on the left, on the dynamic share icon, I have a notification. I can click on that. And it looks like we've got a couple requests here. So the first one that we've got is from right here in the middle. This is actually, this is another colleague that's requested. Right here in the bottom middle. This is a request from Luis. We can zoom in a little bit here. And I can either approve or reject this. Well, I'm going to, of course, approve anything that Luis asked for. So we're going to go ahead and hit approve. And now it's going to bring up a dialog box. Now, the great thing about dynamic share is that you still have control of your content in the way of when the field unit comes into your MMH server, your MMH server basically turns into a reflector or an encoder of sorts. So the content will come from site, from the field unit to your MMH server, and then we then share that back out to the point-to-point or the one-to-many distribution. So for example, I've got a feed coming in. I've got a test clip coming in on my MMH1. It's telling me right here that my receive one is currently in use. So let's go ahead and share that content. I'm going to tell it okay. Now on Luis's side, he will now get a message saying that the feed's been approved. And we talked earlier about the different columns. This feed will now appear in his feeds column. So as we load up here, we've got right here the dynamic share icon. It's this little green circle that will appear. And there is information. It'll tell you that this is coming from Ed Lozano, and it's actually being received by my RX1 and then being rebroadcasted. We can, of course, see the bandwidth here. And if there's any metadata, it would be listed in here. And just like all of our matrix system, we can click right here in the lower right-hand corner, and we can click on the grab icon here, and we can now then select a channel locally on our MMH server where we want that content to go. Very useful, once again, for doing ad hoc feeds. Maybe it's occasional use, maybe it's a little bit longer, maybe you need a feed there for 24 hours. The dynamic share is active until one party ejects the feed or hits the, in this case, it's a little icon of a trash can and stops the feed or stops the share. Luis can either stop it on his end, or I can say, you know, we're done feeding Luis, I'll manually eject it from here, or we can put a time limit on it. Did I see a question? I think I apologize. Can dynamic share be set to expire so I don't forget to stop sharing? Yes, it can. Once again, we can come into dynamic share and we can say, and actually even in the feed, if you're the recipient of the feed, I can come over here and I usually use it or do it till it's manually ejected. But you can come over here to custom and then select a time that and a date that you want that. So maybe you've got a feed for 72 hours. You can future date that on the calendar here and put that time in there. Luis, what am I missing here? Luis is our master of all this, so you know, I think this tool and Matrix as a product as a whole, so very useful for all our clients, day in and day out.
Yeah, I think one, you know, I guess the other way of doing things is just simply doing the drag and drop, not necessarily clicking on the grab feed. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways that you can do that. But yeah, you're pretty much spot on that information you have.
Yeah, dynamic share, full feeds, distribution groups or distribution channels all work hand in hand, day in, day out. Now, Matrix as a whole, like I said, you may be using it already as part of affiliate distribution like News One or CBS News Path, or maybe you're getting your CNN feeds in it. So you may be used to already doing this, but maybe you don't know a little about dynamic share and how you can share across platforms. Questions? Always love questions. So.
So if you don't mind, I wanted to kind of show a little bit, give you guys a little bit of a preview of what we have going on, or what we have coming up, for we'll be showing at NAB. Some of the functionality that we have, as an example, there's some customers have been wanting to be able to not only be able to capture a feed, but they also want to be able to record a feed. So that having the ability to actually record a feed will be available. So kind of like the same way you used to do it with back in the old days with satellite feeds, right? You want to be able to do a capture a feed that way. So instead of having to go to your airspeed or whatever, you can actually grab it and record those feeds in via Matrix as well. There's another option that we'll show later on, or we'll be showing it at NAB. It's called LiveU Ingest, which is basically allows you to do the recording and include metadata from iNews or ENPS or whatever NRCS system you have. But that we'll show you guys that. We'll show it at NAB. But I wanted to give you guys a quick preview of our new interface that we'll be using for Matrix. So let me go ahead and share my desktop real quick.
And real quick, Michael Brown had a quick question. Dynamic share cost. Michael, best bet, reach out to your sales representative or sales engineer like Luis and myself, and we can get you that information. For the central region, it would be Arco, and for the western region, it would be Rusty.
Yep. And one thing to keep in mind as well with dynamic share, as long as you're in the directory, you actually get 30 minutes for free. So it's free use. You can use it as often as you want. If you have some type of, you want to share a short story or something with somebody that's outside of your group, you can use dynamic share. And again, it's the countdown starts as soon as you initiate that request, but you do have the 30 minutes. So if it's just a 10-minute clip or something that you want to send to somebody else, feel free to use that functionality now. So just keep in mind that that functionality or dynamic share needs to be enabled for you to be able to see that.
And
right,
Michael,
so let me show you real quick. I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry, Luis. Michael Arco just responded saying $300 for rental for 1 month MSRP, or $125 for a 12-month commitment. So sorry about that, Luis.
Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody can see this now. So this is a little bit of the matrix of kind of a little bit of changes. So some of the things that you may notice here is the dynamic share option is a lot easier to access now. So instead of having to go into hit the icon, now you can just hit either dynamic share up here, or each individual receiver that you have will have that dynamic share option enabled on it. So if you want to share it with somebody, just simply click on it and you can select who you want to send it to, right? So as long as you're in this list, then you'll have access to that. Somebody can send you, and again, if it's just a 30-minute, if it's a 30-minute feed, less than 30 minutes, you can do so through this, right? So once you initiate that, then you can do that. You'll have that ability to end a custom time. I think it's honestly a little bit difficult to, if it's a live program, it's going to be difficult to determine if it's going to be, ending on exactly on time. Sometimes if it's a game, you may run into overtime or whatever. So a lot of times I probably wouldn't recommend turning that on, and just simply, disable it or remove it once that feed is done. But here's kind of you can kind of, you have the same functionality over here with Matrix that you have on your current, just simply clicking on these, you can, it's that functionality is still on there. The buttons are a little bit different, but still the same look and feel is still there. You can drag and drop as you wish, right? Your feeds are here, your pull feeds. If you want to do a search, if you want to do the filter search, one of the things I was showing earlier this morning is what we call this feature here. So let's say, for example, I want to be able to see. Let me get this here out of the way. There we go. All right. So now, there we go. So now I have my weather overlays here, and if I want to do satellite feed. I want to do, there's a storm or whatever going on, and I want to see, I want to grab all the feeds that are in that area. I can just go in there and circle this area here, and then it's going to show me everything that's within that area there. So it's going to show me this feed here, right? So I know Ed's in Texas area, so it's going to show me that geo feed, geolocation option there to show you what's going on. So you can actually just erase that and remove that from there. Okay, so the other things that, normal searching you can do there. Anything else? Your WebRTC preview, right, is there. You'll be able to see that, right? You can preview the audio. If you do not have audio now in your existing Matrix system, then you may need to let us know, because what's likely happening is the WebRTC ports that we use, the TCP ports are not going through. So it's something you may want to look at if you have any issues with that, or you can call tech support and they can walk you through that process as well. But it's typically a network issue that needs to be resolved. Any questions on Matrix?
Luis, Brian asked, how are pool groups set up?
So pool channels are typically, it's a kind of a regional agreement that the stations at a certain location have. So for example, Detroit, right? In this particular case, we have a bunch of Detroit stations in that area. They'll share content with each other. So instead of having all the stations, go to a certain shoot, that one person will go and then they'll share the feed. They'll put it on as an example, Detroit Pool 1. And then all the other stations are able to grab that feed and route it into the local receivers, right? So typically, if you have access to Matrix, you can get pool access. So there's a license for that to get on there, and then everybody that's within that agree to share that content with each other. So only those that are within that agreement and within your local agreement are the ones that are gonna be able to share that content with each other. So typically, like in Detroit, week 1. ABC affiliate is going to do all the shooting of content, and then week 2, CBS and so forth. So they were able to share that content within each other.
Brian,
if you were to look in LU Central, if I have that feed and every station that's going to be part of that pool station, the pool feed, if I go into here, I'd be able to see that the Detroit pool within my as a feed available here, so I can send my feed directly to that from my encoder, right? So once I send it directly to that decoder, then it's going to be available here on this pool feed 1. I don't want to send anything to it just because it's not our feeds, but you kind of get the idea there. So right now you'll see that WJBK is sending something to pool channel 3, and all the other stations are able to access the feeds from there. You can see all the pool members here, right?
Very useful, especially for big events, trials, parades, stuff like that. Very useful.
Yeah, this was huge for the COVID, right? During COVID, when you could only send a single photographer out to an event at a time, and they were able to. But these guys were able to find that it was so much. It's very useful for them to share the content and within each other, that they continue to use it even after COVID. But COVID was really where this whole pool feeds was initiated, where it was all born.
Any other questions? Matrix Dynamic Share pool feeds. That's what we're here for. I think that, yep, here comes one. Oh, that's Arco. Awesome. Well, I think, hopefully we gave you all a little bit more insight into some of the Matrix products, the Matrix family of products, Dynamic Share, the pool feeds, distribution channels. As always, please feel free to reach out to Luis or myself within your region for pricing information. Don't forget to reach out to your local sales rep. They're more than happy to give you any pricing. And like I said, Luis and I can can help out at any time, you know, Monday through Friday, weekends, what have you. That's what we're here for, to assist y'all. So if there isn't any other questions, thanks again for joining us. We'll have another Tech
What's our
Tuesday
next
as
one?
I think our next one is next month. Joyce, if you're still here.
Yeah, we're looking at late April. We want to do kind of a post NAB recap of the new products and solutions that we'll be showcasing at the show. So we'll do a deeper dive into those products.
If anybody has any recommendations of things they'd like to see, please let us know. We'd be happy to cover that as well. Again, this is really not intended to be a kind of, you know, salesy type of stuff. It's really more to help each one of you, you know, engineering teams or operations teams. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know. We're happy to cover it.
Most definitely. A lot of exciting stuff coming out next month at NAB. So more to come. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Like we said, just email us any comments or questions that you may have, and we'll see y'all at the next one here. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Take care.